Hi guys, and welcome to Flambard Williams 2024 recap, Christmas special. So what have we got for you today? Well, we're going to recap everything that happened in the property market in 2024. We're going to cover everything that happened in Flambard Williams in 2024. But do you know what? Because it's Christmas, we've got our very own Masterchef chef here with us, Paule Beke. Welcome, Paula. Thank you. And in the background, she's going to be cooking some beautiful Christmas food for Jack and I. So yeah, without further ado, let's welcome Paula. So Paula, you were this year's contestant, 2024 MasterChef contestant, right?
Yes.
And for today, we've done a bit of a Christmas dinner with a twist, because you're from Ivory Coast originally.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier that you've followed in your dad's footsteps to become a chef. So tell us, what have you got for us today?
So today we have the traditional Christmas menu with a twist. And you will have basically the roasted turkey, and also all the trimmings with maple carrots, Brussels and lardon, and also a little twist with some Caribbean touch with rice and peas, and acheke, which is a cassava couscous, a staple of Ivory Coast.
You can tell with our smiles that our mouth of water. Yeah. It does actually smell amazing at the moment. And what have you stuffed the turkey with?
So the turkey is stuffed with a sage stuffing. Basically, it's kind of the bread and some all the aromats like garlic, onions, and also sage, all chopped up, mixed together, seasoned it, and stuffed the turkey breast.
Amazing.
Thanks,
lovely. Paula. Well, we're going to come back to Paula in a bit. We're going to leave Paula to do her thing. So, Jack, what a year it's been, right?
Very.
Yeah.
Big year, lots going on, eventful.
Yeah.
But yeah, great year overall, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, really good.
I think where we should start this, as always, is that I think we need to look back. We always start these proceedings in 2024 with actually what's happened in 2024, but more importantly, at the end of 2023, we always make predictions. This is not something that we change or, like a lot of companies do, they change their predictions over the years. We stuck by our prediction. We did a webinar actually that is on YouTube. You can see that webinar. And we often revert back to that because we kind of put ourselves on the firing line, so to speak. Everyone was predicting falls. I think we had Savills predicted a 4.5% fall, or a 3% fall, sorry. It was the Office of Borrowing or Budget Responsibility.
Over 4% fall.
That's right, about 4.5. I mean, the irony, they're the OBR.
Yeah.
And so many companies actually said that the property price was going to fall, right?
Yeah, I think that was the general consensus, obviously at the start of the year, and probably you guys that are maybe even watching this thought the same thing, right? I think that was the general consensus, that everything that could potentially go wrong in terms of mortgage rates going up, inflation, sort of all those factors, and obviously everyone just thinks that, well, that's inevitably the property market's going to fall, and thankfully, touch wood here, it didn't, right?
Yeah.
It's been actually a really positive year.
It's been really good. I mean, we predicted, and you can see this in the YouTube video, and not that we're bragging about this, but if you go to 7 minutes, 11 seconds, it's definitely there. And so we actually predicted an increase of 3 to 4%. And depending on who you ask, he's actually done that. I think Zoopla had it at 3%. I think Halifax had it maybe 4% up.
Yeah, I mean, the other day I think come out records have reached price have reached record highs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think anywhere between 3 to 4%, depending on, like you say, where you read it from.
Who you asked. So we were actually spot on. We had valid reasons. It wasn't just lick your finger, put it in the air, and hope for the best. We actually had valid reasons, and we knew that the Bank of England, and one good thing, I say, we criticise the Bank of England a lot. They're slow to react, they're inefficient, and they make wild predictions that never come true. But the reality is that one thing they did do correctly is they asked for stress tests. They made mortgage brokers get stress tests. So everyone had a mortgage, and this is where the papers got it wrong. They all predicted that things were going to fall by 10, 15% because they thought the mortgage rates would go up to 5, 6%. But they did. But where the Bank of England got it right is they actually did stress tests up to 5.5%. So the interest rate could have gone up to 5.5%, and it still wouldn't have dramatically affected mortgages where people had unaffordable mortgages. If you went over that, it would have done. So the bank knew they had a 5.5% leeway margin of error to get inflation down. Now, they reacted late. Inflation obviously naturally come down. We're going to come on to those in a bit more detail. But the reality is that the stress test actually saved quite a lot of people from going into negative equity.
Massive, yeah. And I think one of the big things for me as well that I don't think anyone ever really takes into account is that actually the majority of people don't have mortgages.
Yeah.
And that's a statistic I saw this year that I thought, wow, because it was so little. I think it was something like 10% of all the properties out there are actually only mortgaged. So it's actually affecting quite a small proportion of actually the houses out there. And that's not what a lot of people think. A lot of people think that everyone's got a mortgage, and ironically it's the opposite, that very few people own their house outright. But yeah, I think that's played a big factor in that we haven't seen massive drops that we thought, or potentially people thought that were going to happen. And yeah, that's why it's been a lot more stable than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, I agree. And I think importantly as well is that the issue that a lot of people have from an investor's perspective is they are fixated on the current news. Whether over the last decade, right? Well, we have elections, we've had Brexit, we've had COVID, and they get fixated on what's happening in the news in the now, and they kind of put themselves off. They're like, oh, it's negative. I'm going to wait for it to fall. And
everyone waits for the fall, right? Yeah. Everyone. It's the biggest mistake most investors can make is waiting for that perfect time, or I'll buy in the dip and then I'll sell in the upturn, and it never happens.
Yeah.
Property, we've said this many of videos that we've done over the years, is that property is a longer term investment. So whenever you've got the money to invest, because you're going to hold it over, the likelihood is 10-15 years, and over that 10-15 years there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but as long as you kind of ride the wave and you are looking from a long term, you'll make money.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to come back to Paula because it smells so good. So Paula, what are you doing now?
At the moment I'm doing the lardon for the sprouts.
Yeah.
Sprouts are already done, and also the
so you
gravy.
boil the sprouts as per normal.
Yes.
And you've got bacon lardons here.
Exactly. I just blanch the Brussels.
Yeah.
And then all the lardon I just steep on it. Sorry. So and I blanch the Brussels, and then I saute the lardon.
Okay.
And with some garlic and onions.
Yeah.
And here the gravy.
This looks good.
Yeah. you add some fresh herbs. This is very important.
I'm guessing this isn't Bisto gravy. How do you make this? This is not Bisto here. We can smell.
That's not me. That's gravy granules and a bit of water.
Yeah.
That's me normally.
How do you make your gravy, Paula?
So basically, the gravy is made out of the jus from the turkey.
Yeah.
So we add the jus, and also, we keep all the juice from the meat.
Yeah.
We just sauteed a bit of, that's my recipe, garlic and onions.
Yeah.
And then you add that, you deglaze it with all the juices, and then do not hesitate to scrape out the dish, the meat dish with some water to have all the sucs inside, and then pour it into the pot. So then when your garlic and onions are fried, you add all the juice and the water, and then after you add your fresh herbs. I love rosemary and thyme, so I put rosemary and thyme in it.
Amazing.
And then after you just stir it and let it boil nicely. And if you want some thickness, you can add a bit of potato starch.
Getcha.
So basically what you can do is, we call it a slurry. It's not the Welsh slurry like the mud, but yes, the slurry is 1 time potato starch and 1 time water. For example, if you have 50 gram potato starch, you take 50 gram water, and then you mix it.
Cold water?
Yes, with cold water.
I made the mistake the other day of hot water. And
always cold.
You tried to make your own gravy?
Flour is cold water. You mix it, and then after you pour it nicely into your recipe or whatever you want to thicken, and that's it.
Perfect. So, Paula, obviously we do property investing. How does investing affect you in terms of, as a chef? Is it difficult to have regular jobs? I'm guessing there's a lot of chefs. So, do you, when money comes in, do you have to invest it? How does it work in the chef world? Is it tough?
Okay, so in the chef world, like investing depends on what you are doing in the position. Here I have the chance to have. I don't put my eggs in the whole
One basket.
One basket.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly, in one basket.
We say that all the time.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I have most activities. I have like a restaurant in France, in Paris,
Nice.
and here I'm doing also private chef, and I'm working in a restaurant as a head chef. So basically, I have like a basic income,
Yeah.
let's say, that helps me invest.
Understand.
So yes.
Getcha. And it's kind of what we advise you guys to do as well. So you've got your bread and butter income, which is your income from your daily jobs.
Exactly.
But importantly, you've got your fingers in other pies. I didn't use that as a pun because we're doing food, but you've got your fingers in other pies because importantly, you need other revenue streams. You know, to go off one revenue stream until you're retired and then stop and then you haven't got any other revenue streams coming in, it's just nigh on impossible. You need other revenue streams. So it doesn't matter where you're starting from, whether you're starting with what, 30,000, 40,000. Some people come to us with 500,000, a million. It doesn't matter where you're starting. It's just get started and get that income working for you, or get your money working for you. It's so imperative. We've had a lot of good clients though this year. A lot of clients that have come from not much money and done extremely well.
Yeah, it's been a real mix, right?
Yeah.
Clients like you say from that have got like smaller 30, 40,000 up to in the millions. But yeah, I actually think as a company we probably sometimes we like the clients with a lesser amount of money because we kind of feel like you can really help them and help build on them. Because that's kind of what we like to do, right? We like to try and take people on a journey. But yeah, I think overall it's been really successful. I think we've had some really good developments this year as well, which I think has obviously helped massively.
Yeah.
And again, quite a big range there across multiple cities. So yeah, I think it's been a real good mix.
Good.
Yeah.
Inflation's something that was on everyone's lips a year or two ago, and importantly, what inflation meant. And this is where people go wrong with inflation. This is what people don't quite understand or don't quite get with inflation. Is they think inflation's come down and we're now cheaper than what we were a year or two ago. But it actually doesn't work like that. What basically happens is inflation is just judged in comparable, what the price is like now comparable to 12 months ago. So for example, when inflation was running at 10%, for example, prices were 10% higher than they were 12 months ago. People think, well, prices, now inflation's down to 2, 3, 4%, it fluctuates between those levels. Well, it's now back down to, well, we're only paying 2% on what we were a couple of years ago. It's not. It's 10% plus the 2%, if that makes sense. So inflation, as it was always going to come down. There's very few instances around the globe, apart from when you have, hyperinflation in certain countries, but there's very few instances when inflation just runs away and they can't control it. There are countries, of course, we've seen Germany in the 30s, we've seen Venezuela.
That's the Venezuelan one.
Yeah, the Venezuelan one.
Taking a wheelbarrow to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah, exactly. Those countries, they hyperinflation, they can't control it, but there's other factors. But in terms of the UK, the government were always saying how great they were in bringing it back. It was always going to be bought back, and I think if Bank of England did nothing, it would have still been bought back. That's the reality of it. But inflation is now at a level where we're actually, Jack, seeing mortgage rates potentially start to come back down, right?
Yeah, hopefully mortgage rates I think will start to come back down. I think we'll probably see another 0.25 come off of the base rate early part of next year.
Great.
And that naturally, everything will start to come back down. I don't think we're ever going to see the sort of 0.5% that we've seen over the last decade or whatever it is, but it will come back down to a more normal level. And ironically, I think the 0.5% probably affected us long term.
Yep.
Hence why inflation went up so much.
Yep, agreed.
So we just need to get it down to a normal level, and then people can kind of build on it, a bit of certainty there as well. It gives people knowing that we're not going to see massive high interest rates, and we're not also going to see record lows either.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said, Chris, in terms of inflation, I think that's a big thing people don't take into consideration. People leave their money in the bank, and you guys at home may have thought, oh, Joe, I'll just leave it in the bank and I'll kind of see what happens. And we many a time we speak to people 2, 3, 4 years later, and it's still in the bank.
Do you know what? It's we'll be honest with everyone. It's frustrating when you see a client and they say, I'm just going to leave it in the bank because it's safer there. You just want to shake them, right? You just want to...
I actually saw I was in the Telegraph, I think it was, the other day, and they were saying that over the last 60 years, do you know what the average inflation has been over the last 60 years?
No, go on.
4.9%.
Really?
So over the last 60 years, if people would if you'd have just left it in the bank and you'd have been earning 5%, you wouldn't have built any wealth. You would have just simply maintained what your money is worth now. So it's so imperative to get that money invested. If we're making sort of 8, 9, 10% income plus, then you've got another 5, 6% year in growth. That's going to build you wealth. Leaving it in the bank, even earning 4 or 5%, you're just simply going to maintain where you're at.
We had clients back in, it was just before Jack's time actually, 2014, 15. I was travelling up to Manchester. We were buying one beds at 110, actually less, 80, 90 actually. In Media City was like 110, 120 for one bed. And a client at the time, I mean, the reason why you're laughing is because what they are now, right? And the client at the time said, oh, do you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it where it is. I'm a little bit nervous about the market. And I still think about this client now. He had premium bonds. And he had premium bonds and thought that premium bonds would outperform the property market. And what he just left them there. And then in 2020, he come back to us and said, should he invest? We said, yes, of course. You missed out last time, let's invest now. And he said, no, COVID, I'm now worried about COVID. And he approached us probably July, August this year, give or take. How's things going? And he can't buy anything anymore. The money that he had 140, 150,000 in cash. He's still got 140,000 in cash. But for what he wants, he now can't get his head around the fact that he can't buy in Media City. He needs 220, 240. So he could have doubled his money. And I just think things like that doesn't matter. We're not saying you have to use us. You don't have to use Flambard Williams. We're not the only property company out there. But even if you've got something local to you, if you didn't feel comfortable using us, don't worry. But just get on that property ladder for a buy-to-let investment. It does so well. And the reality is, I bet people, find me any decade from 2008 to 18, 2009 to 2019, 1988 to 1998. There's no decade.
Time, isn't it? That's your era.
That is my era, unfortunately. But there's no decade that's actually lost money in the property market. It just hasn't happened. Yes, you've had 1 year dips or 2 year dips, but you've never had a decade that's lost like it. In terms of market sentiment as well, I've actually felt a shift in terms of confidence. What's it been like for you and the guys on the phone?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, beginning part of the year, it was naturally, as we know, it was kind of, let's wait, let's see how it goes. But I think now that everything isn't as bad as what the press and the media were making out to be, it kind of has settled people a lot more. They've started to see the interest rates start to come back down, mortgage rates. So people have now started to build that bit of confidence. And ironically, now that's just going to spur the market on more. People are now going to think, oh, do you know what, now's a good time to buy, because everything's going to be okay. And then that just naturally pushes up prices, as we know.
And we're obviously going to do a 2025 video next year. But do you think this is going to continue? Are you? Yeah,
I think the next couple of years, the next sort of 2, 3, 4 years for the property market are going to be really strong. Personally, I think next year, I think it's going to be, again, probably better than most people think.
Great.
And then I think 2026 will probably be a real boomer of a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the next few years are really set to be great for the property market.
I agree. And I tell you what's important as well is we've got guys in the office of all different levels financially themselves. We've got brokers who are new. We've got brokers who have done extremely well over the last 5 years. But they're actually all buying themselves. They're all buying what we sell. And I think that's important to know is that we don't just advise products and say, oh, well, we hope they work for the clients. You guys are getting involved. I mean, you've bought a few recently this year.
Yeah. I think all the guys are, right? I think there's so many, because in terms of, for those of you who don't know, we offer different types of payment plans with some of the products. We have products where you're putting 10% down and it's maybe ready in a couple of years so the people, the guys and you maybe at home have got time to pay the remainder off and save up. We've got other developments where you're paying monthly, so people just simply pay out their monthly income. So I think that's been another big thing, that it's given they're not having to go and put 100 grand down all in cash in one go. There's real good payment plans and small deposit options for you guys to get on board and really benefit from something that is going to complete maybe down the line. And the other massive advantage you guys have got with that as well, Chris, is obviously mortgage rates. So let's go back to that in terms of if you're going to go and buy something off plan that's 2 years away, well, that's giving you time to save up, and that value of that property is still going up over the next 2 years. And you've also got the added benefit of that mortgage rates over that time are going to come down. So it's kind of like a perfect storm for off-plan property, I think.
No, I agree. And I think where people, our clients, or especially our potential clients, get held up, and where you guys will actually be a bit nervous about investing is you think there's only one way. You think, well, I've got 30,000, 50,000, 500,000, and I need X amount, I need a mortgage broker. You'd be surprised. There are so many ways to skin a cat, so to speak. that what we can do is you just tell us what suits you. You tell us what works for you financially. You might say, well, actually, I don't want to get a mortgage. I want to pay something off over 5 years, month by month, because my income's doing well at the moment. We can do that. We can work around you. It's not just a case of, one size fits all. We will tailor an approach to you. I think that's the key.
Massively, and people don't realise.
Yeah,
that you probably don't realise how much we can juggle things around to fit in with you. And if we can't, look, we'll tell you. But 9 times out of 10, we'll be able to find you guys a solution and something that is comfortable. That's the key. Is it's got to be comfortable for you. It's got to sit right. So I think no one wants to go into an investment when you're kind of a bit nervous.
Yeah, a bit nervous.
Like,
Exactly.
God, can I make this work?
Yeah,
we'll make sure it's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, we're going to go back to Paula because this is
coming along nicely, right?
This is smelling great here. So what's going on now, Paul? So you put the Brussels in mixed with the lardons?
In the lardons, exactly.
Gravy looks like it's coming along nicely.
Exactly. And I put the turkey out because it's almost done to let it rest.
Can we have a look?
Let's have a look.
Yes, sure.
Wow.
And then I have some spices on top of it.
Yeah, what's this on top? Is this paprika?
This is suya spices.
Suya?
That's a blend of spices that you find generally in West Africa.
Suya?
Yes, suya.
Okay, how'd you spell that?
S-U-Y-A.
S-U-Y-A, okay.
It's like a powder that you use to eat with grilled meat.
Yeah.
Basically, kind of all the street food.
Yeah.
Is it a spicy spice or just like a flavoursome?
It's flavoursome, but
Just thinking of you.
Yeah.
Any is different because you have the spicy one, and because every house can make its own.
Right.
So mine is mild, it's okay.
So you make your own suya?
Yes, you can.
Really?
Exactly. Some people put what do you call it? Peanuts in it. Some doesn't. Because I don't.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That'd be a different Masterchef.
You've got a peanut allergy, so your lips start to swell up.
Yeah.
So
You can see a very different Jack.
Yeah. Perfect.
And we also have later on a nice dessert, which is called an Alaska.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, have you had an Alaska before?
No, can't say I have you.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Lovely.
Oh, okay.
Really good. Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks, Paula. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we've got to talk about the Labour government. Many of you...
You sure you want to do that over dinner?
Unfortunately, yeah, you've got to deal with it. The Labour government came in with all these promises. They came in with all of these ideas. And don't get me wrong, one thing I will say is that the government needed a change. I'm happy to say what way I vote. I'm traditionally a Tory voter. But they were horrific. I thought that they were horrific. I don't think they were very entrepreneurial. I don't think they were very, cutting the red tape. They were adding more red tape. I think they were trying to be jack of all trades and cater for everyone, but they were just master of none. It was just a terrible, disorganised mess for me, that government. So it needed a change. And when Labour got in, wasn't fully adverse to it. I just thought, well, you never know. They might make some tweaks. I think they were right in terms of what they're saying. They need to raise money. I think the way they've done it is appalling by cutting winter fuel allowance and for the elderly.
It's a big one for me.
Yeah.
There's things you cut and there's things you don't.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
one that you don't. Personally.
Exactly. And the irony is, it's such a thing that it gets them so little money that you just think, what's the point? But obviously we're not here to discuss that. It's how is the Labour government going to affect the property market? Now, ironically, although people think that they will put chains on it and tie up in red tape, that actually sometimes benefits, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one in terms of so many things that you thought would cause issues, kind of don't, and they ironically just end up spurring it on.
Let's go through them. Let's talk about the letting side first. So let's go through the letting side and the way that if they restrict lettings. If you restrict anything, they think that by restricting lettings, you actually have more control. But control doesn't actually equate to lower prices, right? So like you restrict lettings. If you start to put rent controls up, then what do people do? Well, the landlords go, well, I better go and shove it really high first of all. Yeah, and
it's a bit backward. I mean, obviously, one of the big things as well is that they're a big advocate for getting people on the ladder, but it's now become so hard that people are renting more. And then what that's then doing is that's then causing more issues and more lack of supply, which then pushes up the rental market. It's kind of like again, we're just going in circles. That they think that this is a great idea and it's going to help people get on the ladder, but ironically it ends up having a real negative effect.
They've said they're going to build 1.5 million homes, which never going to happen. Even with the even for the best will in the world, it's never going to happen. But the reality is that, look, it's great that they're trying to push homes. It's great that they want to get people renting more. But what is it doing? It's pushing rents up. Rents increase, that means it's more lucrative for landlords, so landlords buy. Landlords buy means it pushes up house prices. House prices go up, which means first-time buyers can't get on, which means they rent more, and then this cycle just keeps going on.
I think one of the things they thought would combat it was the stamp duty, obviously increase. They've put that up a couple of %. And ironically, I haven't really had, like, from when I'm speaking to clients, of course, no one wants it, right? No one wants to go and pay a few thousand extra, but it hasn't really deterred anyone.
No.
I don't know what your thoughts are. I've not had anyone go, I'm not buying that because of stamp duty. It's just a case of, it is what it is. Yeah. And I'll just continue to buy. So,
and what we don't realise here is, and I only realise this because I do a lot of travelling, especially to the Middle East. We've got clients from Lebanon now, and got clients from Israel, and of course there's issues there. But UK is seen as a safe haven. A lot of people have had family in the UK at some point, or even educating, or been to school here at some point. And there's a lot of people who think, you know what, I'm going to put money in the UK. Doesn't matter that there's high taxes at the moment. Doesn't matter, and that's going to change, by the way. We're going to come to that. Doesn't matter that there's potential issues with exchange rate. They come here and they think it's a safe haven, and I'm going to lock it away for 10, 15 years. I feel comfortable with that government.
Well, let's ask Paula. She's from overseas, right?
Yeah. What's your perception of the UK? Is it the same thing? Is it safe?
Yes, for me it's safe because I come from France, so even with all the Brexit excitation and everything, I felt really safe here. I might be biased because I really love London, but honestly, what I learned is that I had like my everything about investment. Investment-wise, I thrive more in the UK than in France, and I can even see it with what I'm doing there. Because first of all, compared to France, their administrative paper is so high that you don't really have. It takes a lot of time and energy. Yeah. So you don't really think about your investment unless you are at a high level. Yeah. And so for entrepreneurs like myself, it's quite very hectic to deal with all that already, then add like administrative hassle.
So they are, you heard it directly, invest in the UK. Exactly. So guys, by the magic of television, you're going to see a bit of a cutscene. We're going to break for a little bit and we're going to move the cooking on, and we'll speak to you in a bit. Guys, welcome back. We've just absolutely demolished that feast, so that's why you can't see it anymore. So obviously a big thanks to Paula, that was absolutely fantastic. Us and the crew all behind the cameras here are well fed. So just before the break we were talking about the Labour government. Now I'm going to give my opinion on the government. I don't think it's going to impact dramatically at all. As we were saying before, I actually think it's going to have a positive impact. The more they try and restrict rents, or the more they try and tie up the market in knots, and actually put all these rules and regulations, it actually benefits landlords. Now, why? So, for example, they're saying that they want higher quality rental accommodations. That's fine. Higher quality rental accommodations, I totally agree with that. The problem that you then have is all of the lower quality ones, well, what happens to them? Well, they can't rent to tenants anymore, so therefore there's even fewer properties to rent. Fewer properties to rent means property prices increase. Property prices increase mean, of course, more landlords get involved in the market. But what do I think is going to happen? Labour have been so appalling, or they've been viewed to be so appalling in their first 100 days, that I've got no doubt that there's going to be a change of government at the next election. I think this will be one of the shortest terms in history. I think 4 or 5 years max they've got. Whenever Keir Starmer calls the election, I think that's it, they're done. The thing that we've got in the UK at the moment is we've got two political parties, Conservatives and Reform, which are really close in terms of their views, and that causes an issue with potentially a split vote. But so many people at the moment are saying that they're flipping over to Reform, and they're not comfortable with what happened with the Conservative government, that I think that we will definitively see a change of government come the next election, which will be 28 or 2029. But all in all, the property market is strong. It looks like it's going to be a good year next year.
Yep.
We're pretty comfortable with where everything's at. We're not just saying it because we're in the market, but yeah, we're pretty happy, right?
Yeah, and naturally, guys, we will always put out our predictions as well, so you'll see them. Like, keep an eye out for that video. We'll put our predictions of 2025, where we see sort of property prices going, mortgage rates, and yeah, just generally as a whole, where we see things going. But yeah, overall, I think it's going to be a really good couple of years.
Yeah, and I think regardless of actually what happens, you know, let's say that we predict it's going to go up 4 or 5% and it doesn't. The reality is that you're still getting great income. And the beauty about property is it's leverage. So if you've got 50,000, you're actually getting your income on 200,000. So that 150,000 that you borrow from the bank, it's not your money. If you're getting it at 5%, but you're getting 7% income, you're making 2% on money that's never been yours in the first place. So that's the advantage of property. What we're now going to do is we're now going to switch slightly away from property, but just focus on us as a company, what we've been doing, what our plans are. And of course, it'd be great if you guys can fit in with those plans as well. But before that, most importantly, we're going to go back to Paula, because Paula's going to tell us all about her dessert, the Baked Alaska. So Paula, over to you. So I know that I gave you such short notice last night in terms of to do today, and I apologise for that. So I know that you've got some sponge here. So what's the plan for this?
So the plan here is to do an Alaska, which is like a nice icy dessert that you do normally for holidays like Christmas or New Year. And basically it's made out of sponge, layers of sponge, and then vanilla ice cream, sponge, strawberry ice cream, and sponge. And then you cover everything with a nice thick meringue, and after that you just toast it for the color. Nice stuff.
Wow.
Lovely.
Wow.
It's going to satisfy the sweet tooth.
Well, we've got 30 minutes and we're going to enjoy that. So in terms of, back to us, in terms of Flambard Williams, it's been a great year. So sales have been solid throughout the year. We've been pretty consistent. I'd say probably we've been more consistent this year than last year. I think we've done a 15-20% increase in terms of our overall sales.
Yeah.
But I'd say we're probably more consistent this year, would you say?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things. That's obviously what we tried to do as a company, is just consistently get sales going throughout the whole of the month. Obviously a lot of the brokers in there as well, they wanted to get consistency up as well. I think it's a big shout that we hit a record month as well this year, which was great for us as a company, so that was really positive. Actually, I do genuinely think we've made some probably wrong turns, but we've learned from them. Yeah. We've had some great sort of highlights. We've had obviously the exhibitions. We've done obviously a lot more in terms of these types of videos, which I think has helped us as a company. A lot of, hopefully you guys that are watching, you find these things useful, we've had a lot of good feedback from them. So yeah, I think it's been some really good takes from this year.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, in terms of the exhibitions, I think we did probably too many last year. I think for me, I know I felt a bit exhausted at the end of the year travelling. Every 3 weeks, it was like we were in Bahrain, then we were in Doha, then we were in Shanghai, then we're in Dubai, and it just felt like it was just relentless. Whereas this year we've done Saudi, which was fantastic. Cityscape, really, it was one of the busiest exhibitions that we've done. And then the boys have just literally got back yesterday from Shanghai. Yeah, from Shanghai.
Yeah, which again was really positive, the feedback we got from there. Yeah. And they just said there was a bit inundated, so there's probably a bit of short man on the on the actual stand. But yeah, overall I think it was
went well.
Really good.
Went well.
Yeah.
In terms of business as well, we've transacted on over £120 million worth of property and that's just what's gone through our books in terms of sold. We've obviously worked on a lot more. There's things that we've done this year that haven't gone through the solicitors yet, that haven't been sold, so we think that comfortably we'll have done over 150 million by the end of the year, once you take into account everything that we've sold and what by the time it's gone through solicitors. So we know from a company perspective, you don't put that kind of business through unless you're good at what you do. And we're not someone like Savills who's got 30, 40, 50 branches across the UK, and nor will we ever want to be like that. We think it's inefficient to have offices where you're waiting for people to come in. To me, that's inefficient. We've got 2 or 3 headquarters, or the headquarters in London, and 2 or 3 satellite offices around the UK, Liverpool and Leeds, Manchester, for example. And what we'll do is we'll basically save on as much cost as possible, because the cheaper we can run our operations for, the less you guys have to pay from a client's perspective. So it's pretty straightforward. And our lettings department has grown and grown as well, right? We won awards recently as well.
Yeah, we won 5 awards this year.
We did,
which is again another massive highlight for us as a company. I think consistently now we've won top agent, lettings.
Yep.
You will remind me.
What have we done? We've done
lettings,
marketing, our website, because we've got a new website we just launched.
Yeah.
So we just won an award for our website.
Definitely something to check out, I think, on that note as well, because we put a lot of new tools on that, which again, people have found really helpful in terms of building up how they build up their wealth portfolio, how they build up their income portfolio. And those calculators on the website, I think, are really, really useful.
Yeah, the website we had before was, I'll be honest, it was just a glorified sales website where you simply looked and you saw a number of properties. Whereas now what we realise is people want educating. That's the first thing. Importantly, we've done a masterclass as well. So what we've done on that masterclass is we've literally condensed everything we say into sort of 2.5 to 3 hours, and we offered that. So when a client comes to us and deals, we can actually offer them that masterclass. That's something we spent a lot of money on, a lot of time on, and it talks about not just the property that we advise on in terms of the residential, but things like commercial property, HMOs, auction properties, how to raise money if you don't actually have any at the moment. So there's lots of things in that masterclass that will be really good for you. And if you want that, just contact us on info@flambardwilliams.co.uk. That's info@flambardwilliams.co.uk, and we will send that masterclass over to you. But on the website, we've got so many other tools. We've got wealth calculators, retirement planning calculators, stamp duty calculators. I think people needed that, right, to make a decision?
I think it gives people. Look, we're a sales company. We want to sell a property to you, but in the same breath, we are very big in terms of education. We kind of want to guide and walk people through a process, and I think that's one of our core values, right? Not just trying to slam something down someone's throat. We want to actually help, want to educate, and importantly, find out what your goals, what your needs are long term, and really try and fit in with that. And that's kind of why I think that all ties in nicely for us.
I agree, and that's what we won an award for. So we won an award for that website. We won an award for our marketing. We won awards for our lettings. And it was actually a 5-star award, so we got it was the best lettings department in the UK. We also won an award as an agency, and we also won an award as an agent, one of the agents. So in years gone by, we've had Shanice win it, and this year Ben Brewer. So Ben Brewer won the Agent of the Year, and he didn't only win it in London or in Essex and London, he actually won it in the UK as well, which was fantastic. I mean, it says something when even he was shocked.
Big shout out to Ben.
Yeah, well done, Ben, you done great. So it's going to be a great year because we're probably being, or we have been accused of being over-ambitious, but I don't think you can be over-ambitious, but I know that because of our ambition, we need to do things slightly differently in the office. For example, the first thing we need to do is expand our team. So we've got a great after-sales team at the moment, but we want to double that. So we want to have 8 to 10 after-sales by the end of the year. I think that would create a nicer experience for landlords who buy through us. They'll pretty much have a one-on-one person. A personal, not just with your broker, but actually with our after-sales department as well. Our lettings department's expanding as well, and I think there needs to be more continuity between our lettings, what happens when it gets actually let. Because a lot of the time, I'll be honest with you, we do a hands-off approach, but we go and let the property.
Yeah, we're kind of cognizant. We kind of want to not let the clients know too much because we just want to deal with it for them. Yeah. But then we sometimes get accused of, why didn't you let me know?
Why you let us know?
It's kind of a bit of a thing. But I think that's something that we've just need to make the process, like you say, a little bit more seamless. But
I agree.
We're working on it, guys.
Yeah, I agree. And we have some clients, as I say, and the problem that we don't identify pretty quickly is what clients want in the terms of once their project is let or their apartment's let, do they want to be updated when there's an issue? Like maybe it's a minor issue. It might be something like the dishwasher's gone, we need to replace it. Some like to be notified, some don't. And I think we don't find that out. So typically we don't let them know. We just get on with it and do it so that there's no hassle. But sometimes then a tenant or landlord, I should say, will be like, well, why didn't you tell me that kind of thing? So that's something that we've obviously learned from this year. And our marketing department as well. I mean, we've got a phenomenal videographer in Luke Flynn. He's done some stunning stuff, not only with us, but outside of us as well.
I mean, he makes us look good. So that's
He does make us look good, yeah.
Well, hopefully anyway.
And I think importantly, we can build now a marketing department around him. We can get marketing managers, marketing directors, we can get social media managers in. And I think all of that coming together will also help Luke and help the team in there as well. And also builds up morale. And when you've got 4 or 5 people all going in the same direction on your team, I think that's exciting for us as well. And of course the advertisements, we're not just advertising here in the UK, most of our clients are actually overseas. So we've got some big plans going forward for the UAE, Middle East, Saudi Arabia, all those kind of places, over to China where we've just got 200 to 250 potential clients sign up with us. So there's a lot of scope for improvement from us. Big expansions in the office. Should be a good year in there,
busy.
Right? Yeah, it's going to be busy.
But yeah, I think it'd be really, really good. And of course we've got Angel Gardens as well.
Yeah.
That's obviously something else which I think for us is a massive highlight of the year.
Yeah, I think that's probably our one to tick off. We've been trying to do it for years, right?
Yeah, it's kind of, I suppose it's the last piece of the puzzle, is what I like to say, in terms of we've tried to iron out every issue in terms of when I roll back the clock, when we wasn't doing the lettings, he wasn't doing the furnishings, all that type of stuff, and we was always kind of let down. You're only as good as your weakest link, right?
Yeah.
But I think the development has kind of still been that kink in our armour, but now we've kind of got Angel Gardens and that's all sort of going well. I think that for me is such a big highlight, and I just can't wait for it to be delivered now.
You and me both.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be something that we can go on, expand on. We can kind of, we're in complete control of it. We can give our clients the best possible service, because everything is literally down to us.
Well, we know actually, Jack, by even some of the projects that we've sold, we do the furniture, we do the letting side, and the development's been done on time. Yeah. But we've still had an issue with the management company that are doing all the
actual building and stuff like that.
Building the communal corridors and things like that. Yeah. So until we control everything, we're only as strong as our weakest link, right?
Totally. And look, there's always going to be things that are going to go wrong. Yeah. I mean, I've got it with one of mine that I've got in the building at the moment. There's an issue, but you kind of have it all good, right? Yeah. There's going to be little hiccups along the way, but I think as a company, we will always try our best to kind of iron out those issues. But like you say, if we're in control of the building, it's far easier for us to sort, right?
Exactly.
Much easier.
And with Angel Gardens, actually, so Angel Gardens, for those of you that don't know, that's our own in-house development. We purchased it, we own the land outright, there's no mortgage on the land, there's no issues like that at all. That's a big thing as well. There are so many developments and developers who are buying land with a mortgage, they're putting down a small amount, and the bank is always in control. We want to be in control, so that means it's safer for you, and you guys can then be in control. We've sold over 30% of that project already. We just had an offer yesterday of a whole of Block F, which is another sort of 49, 50 units, I believe that is. So that would then take us up to being 50% sold. And in terms of where it is at the moment, we've not even put a spade in the ground yet. Now, we're eager to. I've held that piece of land for a year. We've been dealing back and forth with Liverpool City Council, right? I mean,
it makes me laugh, yeah. Yeah,
I've showed Jack some of the emails and where we are at the moment. So we've got this scheme, we've got this great design, which we feel is great, and then Liverpool City Council said, well, they want certain rights to light. So we're like, no problem, but they wanted to create actual thinner apartments, which go from north to south. The downside of that is the only way to get in is by an external corridor. And of course, an external corridor means that if you're on the end, you might have everyone walking past your bedroom. So our argument is, well, there won't be a right to light because everyone's going to have their curtains closed because everyone's going to be walking past their bedroom. So we've actually had a professional come on site and say there won't be any extra light because by having a narrower apartment, it means narrower windows and less light. So actually, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit, but it's really been quite tedious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something, personally, in my opinion, that says something about us though, in terms of we could have got all of that side of things sorted far quicker, right? Let's be realistic. We could have started putting shovels in the ground, we could have gone through all that process within a matter of probably half the time.
Yeah.
But because we've been so particular about what we wanted, because I think for us, where we've been doing it now, best part of almost 15 years, we've been going, right, we've kind of seen all the things that people like, all the things that people don't like, what it's like from a rental side, etc. And we've just tried to create that perfect development. So we could have got it done a lot easier.
We could have battled to their wishes and done the thin apartments. And then when it comes to let, we've got tenants who might not let it as much, and we could have said, well, that's not our fault. That's
so we just tried to create that perfect development, I think.
I agree.
It's cost us, but
we'll
get there.
It has cost us more money, more time, but we will definitely get there because I'm invested in it personally, financially. Obviously, the profit for me is on the completion. So 2026 for the South Block and 2020 end of 27 or beginning of 28 for the North Block. So I'm really investing in it from a personal level, but we want to get it right because what I believe is if you get the first development or the big scale development that you do right, including all the landscaping, then that creates a brand. You've then created a brand and you've created an ethos for your future developments, which is what we're going to do. So Angel Gardens is finally, we can now officially say, going into planning as of next week. So that's going to be the week commencing the 15th, 16th, sorry. The week commencing the 16th of December. So that's going to go into planning. And they can take a maximum of 13 weeks to deliberate and give us an answer. So worst case scenario, that's going to take us to March next year, but we hope that it's going to be done by Feb. We've got to be on site anyway in Feb because it's bird nesting season, so Angel Gardens, we're going to be on site in Feb regardless, cleaning that site, ready for the digging of the ground and the foundation. So it's going to be great stuff. And I think that probably wraps everything up.
I think it does, yeah. As I said, I think just overall in terms of the year, I think it's been brilliant. I think we've done things that we've never done. And I just can't wait to see what 2025 brings. And of course, we'll put out our predictions as to what the market's going to bring as well. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people like that. And hopefully we'll be right again.
Exactly. And there's a few thank yous that I want to say as well from my side. Well, first of all, I want to thank Jack because Jack's been with me for over 7 years, longer than he wants to remember at the moment.
It's starting to go grey.
But a big thank you to Jack. I really couldn't have done this without you, mate. So I really genuinely appreciate it, mate. I really mean that as well. And I also want to thank all the staff members in there, from everyone that's been with me, from Shanice, all the brokers, Shanice, Ricky, Ben, Isabella, Danny, Iqbal, Tima, Aidan, Tom as well. So I was trying to think if I missed anyone, and Tom as well. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate all your hard work that you've put in for me. And of course, the back office girls, Angeline, Kelly, Danielle, you've been absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't have done it without you. And of course, Luke behind the camera here as well. We're going on to bigger and better things. I'm not finished, don't worry. That's all right, I'll remember them.
All right, okay.
And so we're going to go on to bigger, better things. And of course, with all the teams that we've got around the sort of, Sheffield, Nottingham, Manchester, Jason and Kaylee, who head up our lettings up there, the husband and wife dream team, as we call them. So thanks to them. And last but not least, Wilco. Wilco's our ambassador. And Wilco, he's had a bit of a roller coaster year, right?
Yeah, massive. But he's come through strong.
Yeah, he's come through
massively.
Phenomenally at the end. I mean, if you think it's a roller coaster for him, we've been watching it online. Every time we're refreshing his scores, and at the end of the year, he needed to finish in the top 20 on the Challenge Tour, and he missed out on that place. He then went to Q School, and with his dad on the bag, his dad was caddying for him on the last day, and he shot 8 under, I believe it was, on the last day, to finish 4th on Q School. And now Wilco is back on the main tour. So if you're watching this, Wilco, first of all, fair play to you. You've just watched an hour of this, someone cooking behind you as well. Well done you. But secondly, Wilco, thanks for everything that you offer us as well. And we're really excited about ours and importantly, your 2025 too. And now, the best bit, the Baked Alaska. So we're going to taste a bit of this Baked Alaska. We're going to see how the cooking's going on. And we'll be back shortly. So we're at my favourite part of the day, which is the dessert part. So Paula, what do we have here?
So here you have a baked Alaska.
Yep.
Basically, it's a sponge cake, layers of sponge and ice creams. And here I made it with a sponge. The second layer is vanilla ice cream, sponge, and again ice cream. And on top you will see the nice brown pattern, which is a meringue that we toasted with the blood toast.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, look, guys, we're going to tuck into this. So I want to say a massive thank you to you, Paula. It's been amazing. We've really appreciated it. So thank you so much.
Food was lovely.
Yeah, the food was divine.
Yeah.
And Jack, thanks to you, buddy. And
thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a great time. Hope you have a great time with your friends, families, and whoever you decide to spend it with. And importantly as well, fantastic Happy New Year and a great 2025.
Happy New Year, guys.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.